Evening. I'm Gloria, and this is Open Minds Live Chat Show. Tonight, I have a returning guest, Michael Feeley. However, before we get there, I would like to. I was checking. I don't very often check the stats on the shows, or how many people like or follow. But for some unknown reason, I did this afternoon, and I want to thank the open minders out there. There's over 5,000 of you open minders, following the Open Minds Chat Show. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much indeed. I have amazing guests. It's been a privilege and an honor, and I'm always learning, and I will learn some more tonight with Michael. Please share and like, get it out there. My shows are all free. And I just want to say thank you to all the open minders out there. Over 5,000 of you. So thank you very much. So on that note, welcome back, Michael.
Congratulations on feeding the 5,000. And
I knew you were going to. Yeah, you were. I've just fed the 5,000. You are. You know what, Michael? Your joke's supposed to be at the end, not the beginning. But that was quick. I like that. Feeding. Well, hello, you can call me Jesus now, love, all right, after that one. So, Michael, I've titled the show, me and Michael's going to have an organic conversation tonight, okay? Nothing's prepped or anything. I just pulled out a title that sort of was coming to me, and it's The Spirit and ET Connection and Timelines Converging. So me and Michael don't know anything, but we've got our own theories. And as we research over the decades, our theories change and our truths change as we learn more and listen to other people's perceptions. So we're just going to kick off with, so Michael, the spirit and the ET connection. I mean, at one point, way back in the day, just being a medium, I never saw the connection. It wasn't in my mindset because I didn't know ET existed. Now I have a different viewpoint. What do you think about the the ET and spirit connection? Is it under one umbrella? And what's going on? Easy question, Michael. There you go.
Absolutely. Start as you mean to go on. Everything. Every single thing is connected. Everything is connected. It comes from, it comes from unity. It separates into what we believe to be individual, and it is all connected. So, what is spirit? Well, spirit is breath.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and hold on a minute. I know that this is my fault. I didn't phrase my question properly. That if we come away, all right, know the juxtaposition we talk about. So from the Homo sapiens, sapient, and conscious, we chatted so often about the breath and what that is. I want to go the other side for anyone in the audience who hasn't got, an understanding yet of the self-realization or the actual true source of what's going on. I want to pull it back to the spirit world, like you solved a murder from the spirit world. That perception from the human perception, and because you witnessed it, you saw it, you experienced it, and from the ET. Does that make sense? And then we can the breath later.
Okay. Well, certainly from a human perception, it really depends on what level that human is. Mm-hmm. And me as a human and my perception is that everything cannot be anything other than connected.
Yeah.
Because, ETs are in the same universe. Mm-hmm. They have access to the same universal knowledge.
Yeah.
Many of, in my opinion, are advanced spiritual humans anyway.
I like that.
And they have developed beyond the compatible frequency of the Earth plane. And as a result of that, they need to evolve further in different conditions, which is the various star systems that they then become aligned to. But separation is a human perception.
Yeah, but we're staying on the human perception for anyone in the audience that's playing catch up. This is the show tonight. I mean, I'm guilty of it. Sometimes if I go on another show or I'm interviewing someone, I come from my perception, and I'm guilty of that. Humble pie needs to be it, and sometimes not everyone is at that point yet. So I need to pull it back, even though I'm aware, and come back in, because there's many people now are experiencing the paranormal that have no idea of self-realization, of non-duality. They don't know. They're coming in, and the information I'm getting is you need to pull it back, and give a bit out there, even though we're aware, to see if it can resonate with any of them. Does that make sort of sense to you, Michael?
It does, but it's basically going back to basics, and it's basically getting back to a complete clean slate.
Yeah.
And what I can say, I mean, which is not my perception, which is a reality and a fact, is that every single thing is connected.
Yeah.
And and when you look at ETs, and you look at the spiritual, when you look at the paranormal, when you look at the angelic beings, when you look at the elemental beings of obviously of the four elements, they are consciousness in a different form.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we are consciousness in a human form.
Yeah.
They are consciousness within the elemental form, or the angelic form, or what you deem to be an extraterrestrial form.
Wonderful.
Because terrestrial obviously relates to the earth, and to be called an extraterrestrial means that you are beyond the earth and beyond the earth plane.
I like that. I mean, I resonate with that. So this is where I want to go. Let's go down the middle road for anyone in the audience that's coming into this, okay? Because if you look at the 3D experience, this is my truth, anything in this 3D experience is meant to be here for us to experience, one. But we've kicked it off, and you've done it correctly, is everything is connected. We're playing different roles. We're in a play or a movie. We're on a stage. We're all playing different roles. There's the basis. We put that to one side. So in the past, many people thought spirit connection and ET connection was not joined in any way at all. Now, I mean, there must be billions by now that are totally aware. It is one source. So now we've got this basis out the way, because I'm going to come and share an experience that happened to me today with a witness, with evidence, and we will get there. So let's go to spirit first. So would you agree or not, or give me your perception? Being a medium myself, a spirit is a soul that's played the human. The body's transitioned over, and the energy's still there. It's part of the play of the human experience to have spirits. Okay, does that resonate with you? Do you agree with that?
No, absolutely. There's always, should we say, an ember of a fire that has had the experience, has memory of that experience, and often when they interact with the person or persons that they've left behind, still in the realm, then they don whatever garments of recognition. So it's all.
Hold on, I know I'm interrupting him, but Michael doesn't mind, because this is how we have a chat. There's a reason I'm asking this. Just pump the brakes there, because I'm going to bring that same question to you. We will go back into it. It's the same experience with ET, because we can go down in DNA and all that. So this is where I'm going to come between the two with you. I'm going to throw you back and forward. So I want to first go to, you remember you shared with us when you were, even though you're fully aware of the non-duality consciousness, you helped solve a murder, and the spirit energy of a physical being that transitioned worked with you from that dimension to solve a murder. Does this, okay. Just give us a brief for anyone that hasn't heard this. If you haven't, I don't know where you've been, but just give us a brief of that part. How you, whilst you're physically in the role play, worked with a spirit in the spirit world to bring about a murder?
Because this particular spirit, who was a 14-year-old teenager, her remnants, her conscious fingerprint was around my energy, and her presence was felt, her voice was heard, and the actual incident, I was taken back as a remote viewer, consciously, 159 years back to the scene of the crime, and I saw what happened.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
It was a multiple thing, really, with presence, with voice, with I want you taken by the hands of another, to actually being taken back as a remote viewer consciously. Back to the
see actually what happened. So can I jump in again, because this is not a normal interview. This is an organic chat between me and Michael, and he will crack jokes like he did at the beginning. So that, you could say, part of the title tonight is Timeline Convergence. Two timelines converged, did they not, between your timeline in the now and the spirit's timeline in the now then? There was a convergence of timelines. So what I'm trying to do here is to open up the mind, say there's a possibility, because it's happening everywhere at the moment. There's a possibility, and here's evidence from you that two timelines converged, did they not? They had to, for you to solve it.
They did, and also I've experienced where things from the past have coming forward to my timeline again. So yes, if you imagine the cables of a plug, and they all work together, and they all run alongside each other, and they're all pinnacle parts of the electricity, of the energy, and that's happened to me several times personally.
So we're going down the road, but before we get there, I want to say hi to Philip, hi to DM Mike. Oh, Michael. Hi to Jan. Oh my God, you're in France. I haven't spoken to you forever. And Michael, if you want to do this again, come back to the Wednesday night group. Stop asking questions on the show. You left the Wednesday group about ET. Come back in. Right. So where I'm going with this is like, so you're with me now. You know, we're playing the role of the Homo sapiens sapien here and the experiences we're having. So now, can we transfer this interaction, over to what is labeled ET, because we label everything, do you see timeline convergences there? Do you see information from the future, from the past in there, the same as the spirit world? How does that relay with the same sort of concept we're talking about?
Well, it's the exact same thing, and they're obviously traveling through time, sometimes what we perceive to be great distances, but they're manipulating time, because time again is also a perception. And there's been many, certainly, you know, when you look at Rendlesham Forest and when someone actually touched alien writing on the craft, it gave them a sort of a binary code download, which was then talking about the evaluation of humanity, and you know, we are you in the future. So yes, of course, you know, that they're traveling down different timelines, different highways at the time. They're manipulating time. We all know that the faster you go, the more time is distorted, time dilation. And what they're able to do, and again, I've seen them come through portals. I know how it operates and how it is piloted, but nevertheless, the start of their journey is also the end of the journey, because of the way of time dilation. And anywhere that involves time involves a timeline, because that is what you're coming down, or you're shifting from one timeline to another to come into there, or you're going into their event. And as I say, because I've experienced that a number of times personally, then it is possible for them to just jump over onto different timelines and travel down just down a different road. So when you look at the abilities of spirit, and when you look at the abilities of what we deem extraterrestrials, then it is the same abilities, and they're doing the same things, and they're interfering with the same electrical circuitry, and they're interfering with, you know, we all know if someone starts a journey a second ago and comes now to my time, for them, I'm in their future. For me, they're in my past. When they come to my now, you know, it's all different. And when I speak to hosts in America and Canada and different things, my voice is going backwards in time to them. Their voice is coming
Yeah.
forwards in time
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
So that their now is my future, my now is my past,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
their now. So
Yeah.
it's a very, very complex perception of what time really is.
Yeah.
And they're jumping and shifting and across these timeline highways to get where they need to be into different events.
Can I come into that? So, you know, like, I mean, I've been blagging on for years, as you do, boring people. The time-space continuum doesn't exist because it's part of non-duality, yeah? But these experiences that I wish to talk about this evening are now physically happening, which literally deconstructs the time-space continuum. For these the timeline convergence, time dissipates. It has to go, whether you're going back with a spirit or whether you're communicating with an ET hybrid or whatever. That's a segue because I'm going to share something in a minute. Does that resonate with you?
No, again, absolutely. And the science as we know it is not correct. And, you know, the laws of physics that we know are not correct. So, of course, and they are able to manipulate what is really a fluid perception. You know, twice a year. I mean, twice a year, you know, for example, twice a year, I put my clock backward an hour or I put my clock forward an hour.
Yeah.
So where does that time go? Where does it go?
It doesn't bloody
You
exist.
know,
Yeah,
exactly. You know, so for something that it doesn't exist in the way in which we think it exists. And when you just do slight variations on Einstein's E equals mc squared calculation, and you change the m for a zero, there's no distance. It deletes distance.
So, but now we're getting what I'm jumping in with is for the audience. I want to keep this in layman's language, you know, because sometimes I just go off on one and it's not in layman's, and I do apologize humbly, especially to that over 5,000 open-mindeds following me. What we're starting to speak about now, it's now becoming natural phenomena now. Once that was poo-pooed about the timelines, because multiple beings now, we're all experiencing the timeline convergence. Yeah. So do you think that's enough? I'm going to ask you this question to prove that the time-space continuum doesn't exist, or do you think we need a bit more?
You see, I think that reality is a construct of the mind.
Yes.
And people require different levels of evidence.
Yeah.
And some people are happy with photographs, some people are happy with videos, some people need to see it for themselves. So it really again really depends on the state of the individual as to what level of evidence they require. For many people, you know, when you've witnessed a jump in timeline, when you actually have physical evidence that you've been in a parallel existence for a brief time, come back, sometimes not even knowing, you know, when you have evidence that you've been involved in what is known as a pseudo appearance, when you've actually become the ghost in somebody else's reality.
Yes.
Even knowing it.
Yes.
You know, quite for me as the individual, that for me is evidence enough. You know, my own senses, my own eyewitness account is evidence enough for me. And I have witnessed time travel.
Yeah.
So that is faith enough for me, really.
Now, people say, I mean, you're going to get, people say, well, I haven't, whatever. This is my truth. It's my perception. You don't have to resonate or believe it. For me, what's happening now, especially with what's recently happened, is there was like so many people, yourselves included, and myself, and a few billion others, obviously, that would have these experiences. They weren't seeked. It happened. We experienced it on the individual. That is escalating now. I mean, I keep using the word because, you know, I don't want to say, when I say we're running out of time, it's not a fearful statement, but we are running out of time. And it's becoming, I'm hearing from people that you wouldn't think, the timeline convergence, no matter what it is, whether it's ET or spirit or paranormal, because we're doing the same thing in the spirit world. It's timelines converging. When I do mediumship, It's two timelines converging. The spirit is in one dimension, I'm in this one, and for me to communicate, that it's timelines converging into one. For me, it will all come back into the one. So I understand what you're saying, you know, and we can say, well, I say too, depending what level of knowing you have at the moment. No one is higher or lower than anybody. It doesn't matter what you think you know. There's a hell of a lot more to find out. And I keep saying, how many humble pies I keep eating? I'm going to get fat, I can tell you. But still, do you think with what just going on your own basic experiences with the timeline convergence, do you think this is going to become an expanded phenomena? And I said that word correctly. I did. I'm impressed. Do you think it's going to be the occurrence is going to become more and more for more and more? Do you think or not?
No, I do, and I think it's I think it's going to become a normal, not a paranormal for many people, and I think it's becoming so darn obvious now that it's really difficult not to notice.
Yeah,
that those who are not noticing are really shut away from reality, because what you have to realize is that there are multiple existences always around us.
Yeah,
and you know, it's just a slight adjustment of spiritual maturity and spiritual consciousness to actually interact with these things. So it is becoming the norm. It was always the norm anyway, but people give it this. It's beyond the norm. It's a paranormal. Well, it's not. Yeah. It's a normal that we don't understand. The same as magic and miracles are really natural phenomenon that we don't understand yet. So it is becoming so obvious, and so many more people are experiencing something that they can't answer. And when you experience something at whatever it is, at whatever level it is, or wherever you are, then it changes your mindset, because you have seen something, and because you've seen something, well, to you it exists, and that is evidence to you that it exists. And there's so many more people now witnessing something,
and sharing.
And sharing.
Yeah.
You know, and all of your 5,000 followers, you know, will have their own experiences, and they will share them with other people. And so it's becoming
the norm.
Just so obvious.
The norm.
It is.
I mean, because this is what I wanted, because I always go on for years now about the time-space continuum is an illusionary part of the 3D experience. It doesn't exist. And I wanted to raise this again with evidence of what we're talking about. And most of the podcasts out there, we are the mainstream media now, trust me. There are amazing with guests coming on that just blow your mind with experiences that are coming out. And I've been hearing more and more of spirits that cross over, you know, the being passes. A spirit goes over and says, I'm going to experience being an extraterrestrial or something. That is even changed now. They're coming in to meet. They're coming into I run some groups. They're coming into my mediumship group. I teach in the group. They're coming in. I'm used to it because they've always been in with me. So I'm just saying it's becoming normalized. Yeah, and I agree. Stop calling it the paranormal. It's normal, and I think it needs to be an in-depth just chat about it, of everyone's different. Everyone's truth is the correct truth because it's your world, your journey. But the more that we discuss this and open it up even more, I think it will resonate even quicker, because I keep saying we're running out of time, but not in a fearful way. Does that resonate with you, Michael?
It does, because it's all desensitization. And why do you think there's an increase in sightings and increase in things? Is because they also have a responsibility to wait for us to be ready for it. And anybody who is at a spiritual maturity level will realize that they have to be careful, and they also have to come in gently from the sidelines.
Yes.
And when you have more and more, you know, people seeing things and experiencing things and seeing all of these things that have 12 trillion views on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
It's part of being desensitized for an approach. And there are more and more approaches in groups, to individuals, to groups of people at spiritual events. The amount of things that are seen.
Sorry, I'm just, you made me think of something. Can I ask you a question that just come in?
Mm-hmm.
Could it be possible why now is because before there wasn't so many beings self-realized? What does self-realization means? It means non-duality. It means you're fully aware, you're conscious being, and everything is consciousness. When you go past, so there's many people waking up to that. Yeah. Who am I? Why am I here? And everything's being deconstructed. Do you think it could be that? Because it's all different levels. And I said, no one's higher than others. But because the being is remembering, and so many billions now, could it be is why it's become normal now, instead of we hear like all the secret projects before. That's way good. That's old history now. Secret groups were doing this, and the individual person would have this. But now Joe blogs on the street like me, experiences. Joe blogs like you, experiences. Do you think because we've all been experiencing the process of self-realization, that it's now can only now become normalized? Because even the experiences are different. Like I remember back in the day, craft was like nuts and bolts. Now it's a conscious living being. You don't even need a conscious being inside. The conscious being is the craft. Yeah, there's no time travel. There's no jack shit. In quantum physics, out dimensions or whatever. Does that resonate with you at all, Michael?
It does. We've all gone through, by being here, we've all gone through a materialization. And that is simply the realization of matter, the realization of material. So when we start to realize who we are, what we were, and what we still are, and what we are going to be, then we become expanded beings, and we expand ourselves. And when we expand ourselves, we then become ready and able to take in these higher frequency beings around in our environment. So it does resonate, and of course, again, they had to be responsible and wait for people to expand to different levels. And more and more people are beginning to realize that there's more to existence, there's more to reality than this shell, this cloak of meat, really. Because and a lot of people don't give thought to the fact that the chair they're now sitting on is not solid. The body that they're sitting in is not solid. There is no gaps in space. There is no space.
I get it, though. I get it. I remember back in the day before I got into quantum physics. Quantum physics got me in, not ET. And I remember listening way back when it was all coming out, going, "You what? You what?" So I went and said, "Nah, I'm feeling that. Ow, that hurt." I mean, until I remember getting into quantum physics and getting an understanding. And there's a video on YouTube, guys. Dr. Quantum. It's a cartoon. And I thought, I'm so uneducated in quantum physics and I don't really want to go and get a PhD. I'm going to go and learn. YouTube has its benefits. And I started to watch like Dr. Quantum. Yeah, even The Secret back in the day. And I started to grasp 2D, 3D. Put your finger down. Dr. Quantum was going, split them. And it was like, for quantum physics for idiots. And I was one of those. And I learned so much. When I got that, and then I started to say, so the floor isn't here. I'm programmed in collectively to have a floor. But actually, and I remember years ago, Michael, saying to people, when you tap a table, years ago, you're actually not hitting the table. You don't touch. Oh, of course you touch it. You do feel pain. And I explained it better back, and I'm going to kill it now. But the energy on this being and the energy of the table, it's the two force fields that touch. Yeah. You actually touch nothing because material doesn't exist. So that's how I come into the science side of understanding it. I mean, we could stay on this part forever, but we're not going to, because what I want to do now, Michael, I'm going to share with you an experience, okay? I'm going to give you something first and ask your opinion. What do you think happened? Okay? Because we all have personal experiences and we analyze them, which we shouldn't do. It's good to share. Right. I'm going to share an experience that happened. It must have been. Oh, and let me just premise this with, sometimes you get an experience and you think it's stopped and never going to happen again. Well, the last time I had an experience like this was when that volcano erupted or whatever it was over Sweden or whatever. Remember they shut our airspace down? Do you remember what year that was? Does anyone know? What year was that? Anyone know when that happened, if anyone's listening? Well, whenever that was, okay, that's the time, because I remember that, when I had this experience. So I was doing spontaneous remote viewing. I wasn't training. It was just, as I was powering up over the years, different aspects come out. And I went in and was inside this building. I'd never seen this building before. I remember it was offices and whatever. And I remember going up the stairs. I was in it. And I thought, wow, this is wonderful. I wonder where I am. So I didn't even know I was remote viewing. It was in a meditation sort of thing. And I went into this room and then there were windows everywhere. And then I started to pick up all this fear. I was feeling emotions, but I couldn't see anybody. Yeah. And I thought, well, I'm okay. No one can see me because I knew my consciousness was traveling. And I remember, listening to people say, well, when you do this consciousness travel, or you can call it remote viewing, no one can see you. No other being can see you. That's different now, though, because I know when they try to get in. But maybe a dog may sense there's an energy, like it does the spirit. But I could feel this. And I go through, it's like an office. I've got all these computers. It's really, I cannot name the place. I don't want people to come and take me away because the experience I had afterwards was horrific. And then from the other door in this office and downstairs was all this scientific stuff going on. Come this man, which I thought was a man at first, a bit like a Men in Black. He was suited and booted. And he came in and he saw me. He should not have seen me. And the fear that hit me as he threw me back, I was back in the chair. I shit myself. And it was years. I said, I will never, ever do remote viewing again. Just by that. A couple of days later, I was on the internet and some pictures come up. I think it was internet or magazine. And there was the damn building that I'd been in. And it was a place you shouldn't be in. Literally. Disappear if you're, And that scared me even more. And I said, I never will remote view again. So I've seen these beings, right? And then it wasn't long after I was going out and I recognized that energy. So the energy, you recognize spirit, you recognize ET. I recognized this and it was fearful, like made me anxious and scared. Yeah. Before that, then I was watching an old clip of Ingo Swann and he was talking about when he did remote viewing, because that's how I learned remote viewing eventually from him, that he did a remote view on the moon, and he saw these beings. He was shocked that they saw him, and threw him back. So that validated, that made me more scared. I was petrified back in the day. Then after that, I went out. And I felt the energy. I knew someone was watching me. I was being remote viewed as to, I think, to scare me away. I think they knew it was an accident. And I remember Ingo Swann saying, because he'd witnessed what I'm going to talk about in a minute, the hybrids, he'd witnessed them in the shop. And I remember him saying it, he was doing this chat and he said, do not look in their eyes. Do not look in their eyes. Do not do. And he was going on. So my head was, and I felt this. I was petrified. And I was like, okay. I've learnt my lesson. I won't be doing that again. And I never remote viewed again at that point. What can you take from that first experience before I go to the one today, which was very similar?
What you can take from that?
You can interview me. Go on, interview me.
Okay. What you can take from that, Gloria, is there are spiritual guardians, and the likes of the president of the United States has them to prevent other countries, other governments from remote viewing secret conversations. So there are spiritual guardians who can see remote viewers in order to protect secrets. When some people turn around to me and say, like, I feel like every door is blocked, I can't get through, that's because the spiritual guardians who are stopping you going in there. And what you can take from that is, yes, they shouldn't be able to see you, but everything has a fingerprint. Everything has, you leave some kind of remnants behind you. And there are those who are trained and those who can see those who are viewing. And that is what you can take from that. And the likes of, the MI5 building, MI6 building, the White House.
Oh, my God.
They all have the guardians who are able to see remote viewers, because otherwise, you could have the president in the Oval Office with all the American military, and you could have some remote viewer from the Russian government in the meeting. So,
I mean, at the time, I'm aware of that now, but I wanted you to share your perception because you can interview me now. At the time, I would just, until I listened to Ingo, well, they shouldn't see me. They shouldn't see me. I never knew about these guardians of the dark guardians. I never knew until that experience. And then Ingo Swan. And then I was being followed. I mean, I knew the consciousness was there, even though you physically on the bus with me. I was on a bus that day. It was behind me, and it was saying, "You need to back off now." And then, obviously, when Ingo Swan had exactly the same experience, and I listened. Do not look in the if they do materialize, and it's going to be relevant in a minute, guys. Do not look in their eyes. So, I'm glad someone else. I mean, as I like your truth. I like that. That makes sense to me.
There's also as well. I mean, this is sort of higher level stuff as well. But there's also I know someone within the New Age who basically wasn't what their face was different to what they really are, should we say? We all know the fake ones.
Yeah.
This particular individual was very, very, shall we say, engrossed in another individual.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that there were several instances, one in particular, where she deliberately remote viewed him in the shower and he saw her.
Ooh.
And this was just normal level people.
Yeah.
So,
wow. Yeah.
I guess you shouldn't be able to be seen, but as I say, everything has.
Well, yeah, I mean, everything, eventually it's all going to be seen. But I just want to bring that in because, I do every so often, I do a workshop for mediums and I teach them remote viewing only. I don't do it. I keep away from it because the experience was, you don't want to even go there. I want to live here a bit longer, to enhance their mediumship because mediums use remote viewing anyway, but they have no idea. Well, they didn't have any idea they were remote viewing. When they were seeing all the houses, this is Granny's garden and all the evidence that was in it. Yeah. I said, that's remote viewing. Let's enhance it. So I do every so often I do a workshop to teach remote viewing. But no, I love your feedback on that. Thank you for being my interviewer and answering me. I like that. What do you call these people?
Well,
Guardians, spirit guardians. What do you call them?
Spiritual guardians is and obviously, you have guardians on portals, on gateways. If you watch the movie 4 and you see the guardian on the gateways, then that really happens, and you have guardians at ancient sites.
Well,
basically, the people who are they can see people remote viewing.
They can see. Let me tell you, they know everything. They know everything. I mean, as I said, it was an accidental. But I was at that point. Then I totally, over the years, I've understood. I was just being shown what we all have, the ability we all have. Guru is nothing special here. With all these, I'm old, so I've had lots of experience because I'm old. But it was just showing me, be careful. I always say in my groups, right, we're playing the Harry Potter School of Magic. I'm going to show you how to use your natural powers. But you've got to go slowly and be careful because you can get into trouble. And when that was happening to me, oh my God, I'd never felt, no. And I used to think it's the opposite of me, but not with a nice energy. It was powerful. I wouldn't be as naive and stupid to play in our chemical consciousness If you haven't, you know, as I say to mediums, don't touch a fucking Ouija board unless you know what you're doing. If you have any fear out there, you go, you know, it's the same principle. Okay, let's move this along. You can still be my interviewer, okay?
Okay.
I'm now on the back of that. That was the segue in. That recently, my whole timeline, you know, was everything was the passion, everything was planned, future, everything was, you know, normal. And then all of a sudden, it was about 3 weeks ago, something like that, I'm no good. I had contact, okay, in the night. And the only part that I remember that I'm always like blackout. And just before I get up, I remember the craft taking off. It was going up. I remembered that. And I jumped up. And normally I get the beings right in the bedroom, big black almond eye. And that's not also, I thought, oh, it's different. Well, okay. Within 24 hours, my whole reality changed. It was a couple of weeks ago. Just changed. The things I were going to do didn't resonate with me no more. Everything that I was going along doing, thank God I didn't have a partner. That's all I can say, because they would have been out the window as well. Everything stopped. And I was in this vroom, vroom, and I just let it flow. I didn't question it. I just let it, no matter what. Okay, right. I'm not moving. I'm not going anywhere. I've got to wait. I knew I was waiting. I was physically stopped after this experience to another timeline. And it was quite obvious. It was a completely never saw this coming timeline. So that was that. So since then, I've been talking to, you know, the beings, I call them beings, saying, I don't really know what's going on. And normally the things you get experiences in the past, they catch you up years later. And today was the day. Let me try and articulate this to you. So today, I got up in the morning again, and I was waiting for a friend to pick me up, and we're going out into the country. Beautiful, over 22 degrees today. Going to go to a boot sale. I love going to boot sales. Other people's trash is my gold, my treasure. And all of a sudden, it came into my head, there's going to be a UFO there, which is rare if I get a premonition like that. Oh, because it's a rare. Well, that was back in the day. I used to get that way back, yeah. And oh, they're going to be there. So off we go in the car. We drive in. It takes about 30 minutes to get there. At the boot sale, and then every so often, I felt something, but I passed it off. I got loads of bargains, by the way. It was treasure trove, yeah. And so then I said to my friend, should we go to lunch? We went to the Wickham Caves, the Hellfire Caves 2 weeks ago. You know, the satanic lot. I said, but I wanted to take her, listen to this. I'd been here. There's a graveyard by the mausoleum there. And I was there, I must have been, I keep saying 10, 15 years. I have no idea. And I was taken there way back in the day by 3 witches. Well, they were mediums, actually. But I said they were witches. And they said, we want to show you an anomaly. Because it would have been around 2012, because I was painting 3-dimensional sacred geometry, dodecahedrons, cubes, everything. I had my art everywhere. I did an exhibition on it. And we want to show you something really special in this graveyard, Christian graveyard. So they took me up to the top by the mausoleum, and there was this old graveyard. And they directed me way back 2012 time. There is what you call a gravestone, but it's a dodecahedron. Yeah? And as things were going on recently, I said to my friend, I said, I must take you to the graveyard. This is important. I need to show you the dodecahedron stone, and people are buried there. This is sacred geometry. It's manifestation of reality. It's earth, fire, and all the spiritual aspects to it. That was my intention. The intention had gone. Remember, in the morning, someone said they're going to be there. Okay? Then we drive up to the cafe first. We have lunch, lovely lunch. And we said, right, let's go to the graveyard up the top of Wickham, right at the top, a mountain up there. And to drive up the road, yeah, It's like that. It's one way with little bays, so another car can stop and wait for you to that. It's just like that. As we're here where it starts, as we start going up, you don't go too fast. On the left of me, my side, I see what I first thought was a woman, Michael. And long hair, looked like she was dressed in the wrong era, is what. And even my friend agreed. I thought, is that like a shell suit or something? Or, do you know what I mean? It was like, But we're driving up this hill like this. She was floating. As she was striding, and she had a bottle of something in her hand. And as we were approaching, I went to my friend, something's wrong with that. And I was picking up something. Then as we were going past her, I looked, Michael. She had this long white hair, which was real. And as I come past, she dropped her head like that. So I couldn't see the face. We drove up to the top of the hill. Took us a while. We then drove across the car park to park the car. And then we walked into the graveyard. Yeah. There is no way on God's earth she could have got where she got right next to me a few seconds later walking. It's an impossibility. Even Newtonian laws of physics. And I crossed the graveyard with my friend. There was this path. We were, and I saw the dodecahedron gravestone. I said, I will go over there, check that out. And I stayed there on this one path all the way through. And I sent my friend over, go over there, don't trip over the graves, And she's starting to go towards it. And I just said to her, have you got it? She said, oh my God, yeah. At that time, that woman who was down the hill was right there next to me. And I sensed what I sensed way back in the day, but no negativity. I knew it was a hybrid. I knew it wasn't. And I knew. And she walked past me. Yeah. And in my head, I'm going, what the fuck? I wanted to shout to my friend Donna, no way she can got, And I didn't. I start walking across the graveyards, the gravestones, trying not to trip over as you do. I went up to Donna and I said, do you know the woman down the bottom of that road? She's right there and she passed me on my back. And then we watched her. She stood at the other end of the graveyard, Michael. We went there later to where she was. It was a viewing point. She could see us at the stone. And Donna went, she's still there. She was stood behind a tree, just stood there looking. So Donna did some pictures of the dodecahedron grave, whatever. And I said, I'm telling you, I'm picking up the energy. She's like a hybrid. She doesn't look like a human. She's not even a woman. If anything, she's a man, and you know that if you're a medium, you know the energy of a female and a male. So we crossed back onto the path. She watched us, Michael, cross back onto the path. Then she came out and stood on the path herself in front of us so we would see her again. And she started walking down. So we started walking down to go to the mausoleum. And something in my head said, take photos. So I shouted at my friend, Donna, take photos, grab her. And she was taking all these photos, which I do have. This being walked into the field, walked towards a forest, not the path, and went into the forest. As she went into the forest, it come like UFO forest. That's, by then I'm trying to compute the shit. And anyway, we did that. And then I said, if we go down that hill and I see her again, there's my confirmation. Long story short, go back down the windy road, down. There's a junction. You go that way or you go that way. Cars go that way, walkers go that way. She was stood there waiting at the bottom of the hill. Fourth time I saw her. Back. Still couldn't see the face. When she walked past me, she put her hair down. Yeah. So we drove all the way down. I said to my friend Donna, if we get into the village, like a little town, and I see her there, I don't need any more confirmation. She is not human. As we're driving along to come out this village, Michael, I said to Donna, we need to look left. I turned my head, and in the archway, she was stood there. Fucking did it for me. It did it. So then we come all the way home. I will release the photos later on, not now, because we're doing things. Come all the way home, and we get back. We upload all the stuff into my garden. I've made a coffee. I said, oh, quick, Donna, send me them photographs. I want to see this woman who's either, she's not. She can't be. Every picture of her is light energy. It's just light energy. There's no human there at all. We're blowing them up, and you just see this energy of light. That happened today. Same as the ones before, but now she's in physical form, dressed in the wrong era, by the way, and wouldn't let me. Thank God I never looked in her eyes. So what do you think happened to me today? You interview me now. Go for it.
Okay. Well, based on what you said, but based on what you've just said, you've had obviously an interaction with an energy that has manifested. Yes. And when we said at the very, very beginning how these things are connected between spirit and biotic. Now, you having said that, I can now connect it to the animal world as well. Because there's one incident many years ago at our former house, my wife and I's former house, when we used to take in this stray cat, and night after night after night, we'd let this cat into our house and feed it, and it would come back and back and back all the time, as cats do. And then all of a sudden, it stopped coming for no reason. And we thought, well, maybe something has happened, because, like clockwork, he was going to get fed. He used to come. Some time later, my wife and I were sitting on the sofa in this house, and at the same time, our attention was drawn to the left-hand corner of the room, and my wife saw the apparition of the same cat, walking along past the skirting board towards the kitchen where it would normally have been fed. At the same time that my wife actually saw like a ghost of a cat, I saw this as a ball of light. Not a ghost of a cat, but a ball of light. Yeah. And this ball of light was traveling in the same way as the ghost of the cat.
Hold on though, but this today, there was 2 points. This had come in and pretended to be human. It was humanoid. 1, humanoid. And 2, what's really, a light bulb went off. My intention was to go to the dodecahedron. Now, remember, the guys that buried there and built this, they come from the Hellfire Caves. They were alchemists. They were everything. They had the secret. Now, everyone's got the secret. Everyone that's got a podcast knows it. And I said to Donna, she's in my class, and I said, what do you think? Because I was in it, yeah? She said, she wanted you to see her 5 times, and it's like she was checking that you'd found the dodecahedron, you'd got there, and you'd done what you should be doing. And I went, fuck, she's a watcher. It just come out, she was a watcher. But what got me, the way she dressed was like 70s, maybe 80s, we can go 80s. And Donna went, even I knew her hair wasn't right. There was something. But I had in the morning, there's going to be a UFO. I mean, they're going to be there. The beings are going to be there. I knew. And haven't had that in a while. And then she appeared 5 times. Yeah. And watched the stuff. So I obviously, in this timeline, had to do something today. Thank God I did touch the dodeca. Huge. I've got pictures of that as well. And I don't know what it's about, and I don't need to know. Let it flow. But it was another one today. It was a hybrid for me. And it's like fucking exciting. But then Donna said to me, well, I wonder what's going to happen next. Because the last time I had experiences like this, what you call the paranormal went off the grid. So obviously they're direct checking on me. And like I said, watchers, that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. They had shifted my timeline already. where everything stopped. So what do you think about that?
No, I think it has, again, when you look at legal terms, and we both understand legal terms, modus operandi, it is, they monitor people in the same vein as the negative ones will monitor people. The positive ones will monitor people. And
I physically saw today, I mean, it was like, the only question I got, Michael, why don't they catch up with the dress code? Are we in 2022? I mean, that's drew our attention at first. But me being who I am, I was reading, there was no negativity, but there was no human. I couldn't pick up a spirit, a soul. I couldn't, because if I'm weary of someone, I, as a medium, psychic, I go in and read them, scanning them. What, are you an arsehole like me, or are you, negative Nelly? There was no reading as I'm scanning of a human soul or spirit. But the pictures, my God, I still have to get my head around the pictures. My friend freaked. And I said, I'm so grateful 2 of us witnessed this. She was with me today. How she got up that hill. When I drove up the hill, as soon as I got to that spot, she was there with me. That is a physical. So that was on the back of that. So do you think, I hope it is, but do you think more of this is going to become normalized, like what we said in the first part of the show?
It is very, again, another example from this side. I was invited several years ago to do a conference talk at a UFO conference in Blackpool in the UK. And I was only meant to talk for one day, but then I was asked to do both days at a 2-day event. As soon as I was invited to do the event, straight away, I felt the presence of something steering my slideshow, my presentation.
Yeah.
From the onset, and I was getting lots and lots of images, what I was going to say, the pictures, the order, everything just fitted in perfectly. And I got there and did the talk on day one, and I kept getting the word in my head, ambassador. And I felt a very, very galactic council presence that was steering this ship. Anyway, day one, did my talk. After my talk, this gentleman at the audience came and said, when you were on the stage, I took this picture, and he showed me the picture, and he could see me, and he could see 2 balls of light either side of me. Now, that's fascinating. That's not unusual, but it's fascinating. So I just remember 2 balls of light on the photograph.
Yeah.
The next day, after I'd finished my second talk, the host of the event, who was, I didn't particularly know her at the time, we've become friends since, but she is a psychic medium. And she said that when I was doing my talk on the Saturday, she could hear the static buzz, so she knew there was a craft about. She says, as I was giving my talk, 2 elders, almost in biblical dress, in gowns, walked in to listen to my talk.
She picked it up.
Those were two balls of light that the gentleman had taken the picture of. They were on the stage with me, watching the talk that they had told me.
The medium actually saw who was there.
The medium saw them as, she described them as biblical stature. So if you imagine, and I would describe them as galactic council, but they came on a ship and they were dressed in like biblical gowns, and there was 2 of them. And after my talk had ended, they disappeared. She saw them as biblical stature people, and the camera took them as 2 balls of light.
I mean, the pictures will come out. They're just light. It's light, and it's just light, and they've come into the human form to be there. I mean, obviously, it wasn't. I've seen them before, so I know they've walked among us since I was little. I've seen them. I'm so grateful. I had my friend, who's not as crazy as I, and she ran chasing to get the photo, and the photograph was allowed. There was something that I also picked up. I forgot to say this morning. I mean, I hope everyone experiences, because it's just like, what the fuck? You don't take life too seriously. This is like heaven. This morning it came in, they will be there, the craft. But I had this absolute knowing that what we call the powers that be our polarity, which has to be to play the role. If they come into our dimension, they have such high frequency detectors. They can sense the energy in the magnetic field. So all the planes come up, everything will come up to attack. They do attack, and I got another experience where they did attack, and when they come in, they've changed. They are so highly advanced in consciousness, they've overrode that. Okay, and when they come in, it's they come in, they're here, but people won't. Even the energy, they can mask the energy. So we did have helicopters, because we were looking at the helicopters. We saw them, and we all stood waiting to go in the boot cell, and there was these helicopters going, and that I didn't catch it then, but it was later on. The helicopters there, but they were in the forest. Yeah, it was a forest area. So that's another thing that's changed. Now I want to go back to, like, me as a psychic medium. You spoke about the woman, the psychic medium. When I read everybody, if I'm interviewing, I'm reading them. I'm not bothered. I don't need to know their private lives, but I'm just reading them. How far are they on self-realization? That's where I'm going, obviously, for me to give the right question, because I'm here to learn, and I love other people's experiences. When I was messenger, I knew she was strange first, but there was no energy of a soul or a being, and it was like an ET, but even different to that. So, and I'm so glad that you spoke about the two lights behind your picture, because it is normally mediums that will see, but this one was physical. So it wasn't a third eye. It was seen by everybody, even my friend. But she so didn't fit in. She was in the wrong movie. Someone needs to tell these hybrids. I got the watchers. They were watching me to make sure I got to the stone, the dodecahedron, that I got there. It's a humongous place in a Christian graveyard. It's like, so that was my experience, which is now going to shift me even more. And it was very apt. All of this happened today, and I'd already arranged to speak to you about the spirit and ET connection and timelines converging. So where do you think we're going to take all this? I mean, the experiences are getting like way out there now, Michael. I mean, I always say we're running out of time, even though time doesn't exist. There's an urgency. Okay. Where do you think, what is happening? Let's have a discussion. What do you think is happening to us?
Well, firstly...
sorry, 1 second. Omar's in the house. He says hi. And
Hi,
he says,
hi.
He's not insulting me today. He's not insulting me today.
No, he must be feeling unwell.
Yeah. Right, go on. What do you think?
I mean, firstly, condensed light becomes an appearance.
Yeah.
And again, I've avoided using biblical terms, but I'll just use one. It's relevant. We come from dust. We return to dust. Mm. What does dust mean? Light. Mm. So we come from light. We return to light. And condensed light gives us an appearance. Where is it going? It is going to advanced levels never seen before.
Yeah. Mm.
Where we will become a galactic consciousness again. Mm. And they are coming, and they are attracted, and they are coming to people who can see. Mm. Because there are certain people who have been earmarked and who've been picked to be ambassadors.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even my friend said, I mean, Omar, oh look, Omar says, I love you, Gloria. You're looking radiant today. Yeah, you little shit, after what you did with Michael last time, yeah? I love you too, Omar. You're looking radiant too. All right, okay. Oh, he says, Gloria, the watchers are watching you right now, Gloria. But this is, it's like they were, like we get the downloads of coming in, and all the experiences and abductions I've had, and and even the remote viewing one before learning it, it's like now I have been saying, when you come in physical, I'm getting bored with the game. I want to go home if you're not going to do it. You know, you're supposed to do it. This has been me since they stopped everything. Because I was going to move. I had the house, everything, and I had the experience with the craft. I don't remember it all, and I don't care what happened. And all I saw was the craft going off, and vroom, and I knew they did all of that, and I allow it, just let it flow. I never question. I don't let my mind come in. But now they're coming physical, and watching me doing what I'm doing to make sure I'm doing what I should be doing. And that's a new level of consciousness for me to have that.
It is the dodecahedron. Yeah, I mean the dodecahedron is geometrically important, and again, that maybe we can talk about that another time. But and for anyone who understands geometry in the universe, the dodecahedron is important. Of course, yes, they are. And again, you know, if you want people to learn, if you want to bring them all up to scratch, then at every given time, you know, sometimes you just have to switch the volume up at certain parts of the song. You know, maybe with the chorus, switch the volume up, and because they do things that we take notice of, and they do things that sometimes are so much of a kick. You know, you can't ignore the pain of the kick. I mean, look what happened to me. You know, I mean, I was in the career. My future was planned. I knew exactly when I was going to retire. I knew exactly how many shirts I needed to wear to get to the retirement age. Everything was planned to a T, and it all went out the window in a second.
Mine was a second. I mean, I'd spent nearly a month on the Isle of Wight. Everything was in place. House, organised, above and beyond, removals, and then the experience and the craft going. And I know when because I've had these experiences all my life, and you know, and I'm up, okay, what's just happened? Why are you back? And then it was within 24 hours, everything just stopped. And I went, no, not doing it. No. And they're going, what? I'm going, no. And even my health got hit. My health got seriously hit to ensure, and I'm working through it at the moment. I was given information about my health. Stop. They even hit my health to stop me, to make sure I would not proceed. And they made me seriously ill. That's how I got the message. If it was that great not to shift, I had to come off that. I got seriously ill, and I'm working through that now to deal with it. Yeah, it's not a negative, but that's how they just stopped me. Just stopped. Everything stopped. And I was going, what has happened? Where am I? It's like, where am I? I know I'm here, but it's been a bit like that. Really has. What? And then I always let it flow. I never question. I never let the mind come in. You know, the identity. I never say, okay, right, but to make me seriously ill, to stop me in my tracks, that I understood, okay, may not understand it now, what's about to happen, but I trust the universe. And then today.
There must be some significant reason, and you'll probably find, you know, your experiences will change as mine did, and it became really a progression of advancement, and you know, it really did, and the ways in which they communicated with me became different. Because, you know, you kind of surpass kindergarten, and then you go to high school, and then you go to higher education.
I never saw this shit coming. I've seen it. I mean, the last time I experienced, apart from that was remote viewing, but there was another time while I was out, and I had two beings with me in the experience way back. And there was this gentleman, and I saw the back of him, but he wasn't real. He was a hybrid. And that's when I was back in the day. I was like, they're here. They walk among us. I knew they walked among us. And he went to hold this little girl's hand. And I they read you telepathically. I got scared. They said, no, watch. As soon as he connected to her energy, I felt that energy. It was unconditional love. So I've been aware, and on occasions they'd been either invisible, but I felt them, or that one time I saw. But this was 5 times. He, always the back with this long white hair, back to me with the weirdo 70s clothes or 80s. She stopped, but watched us from a point on her own in the graveyard. When we moved, because we went to where she was, and we could see the dodecahedron. And I went, she watched us walk to the path. As soon as we hit the path, she went on the path, so we'd see the back of her. So we would follow her. You think, that song, if you go down to the woods today? I said, no fucking way. I said, I'm going down them woods. Talk about a daylight of, no, it's not happening. And I said, take pictures. I knew to take pictures. And then I captured light, a light being. It's like, so do you think this is going to happen to everybody now?
I think it will happen to a larger number of people. I mean, again, I think it would be, irresponsible for them to do it to people who are not ready to witness it. So I think, as more and more people become ready and more and more people become accepting and ready for these kind of interactions, then they will increase. And they will increase according to the individual who is concerned. But these interactions have always happened. I've been in the presence of hybrids. They feel different. They just do, and you can't always put words into expressing how they feel different. I've been in the presence of negative ones that feel incredibly different. And I've been in the presence of positive ones who feel nice. So, you have a reality beyond a reality, which is often a feeling of them as well as looking at them.
I mean, I got an excitement. I mean, for me now, even though I've had this, a lifetime of this stuff, but today, what happened when they said we're coming? I got that. The craft's going to be there, or the ship, or whatever you want to call it, the being, because they're beings. The craft are organic, they're consciousness. And they can transfer into the hybrid, what we call the hybrid, the walking among us. I mean, no one would have really noticed the difference if you weren't me. You wouldn't notice. If you weren't a psychic medium, I don't think you'd notice them. The fact that they dress like in the 80s or something. But for me, and I've said to my friend, you need to open your eyes now and start looking around you. Because I've always known they were here. I told you that the guy in the beginning, I've always said, way back in the day that they walk among us. But it seems today they were watching me and guiding me, ensuring I followed the procedure I was supposed to follow. And for me, I can't think what the fuck it was, because I've been to that dodecahedron before. It's in granite. I mean, and I was saying to my friend Donna, do you realize the frequency and the portal and the energy on this? I was telling her, there's me chatting. Know it all, so to speak. So what just came out today?
They do. The thing, again, another one of my experiences, really, that they do orchestrate things. There were, again, several years ago, my wife and I we said at the same time, I really got the urge to go to the Clent Hills. The Clent Hills, let me describe Clent Hills, is basically an ancient site, obviously on a hill. When you get to the top of the hill, you can see literally 4 counties joining each other. And there's a set of 4 monoliths on the top of this hill. That is the Clent Hills. It's probably about just over an hour's drive from where I lived. And we basically both had the urge at the same time to go to this place. And we said it. We normally go with our friends again, named Donna. I don't know if there's anything in the name Donna, but
wow, look at that synchronicity.
And another guy who we used to go walking with as well quite regularly. And we called them up individually and said, we want to go to the Clentills. And they said, funnily enough, so do I. I've really got this urge that I need to go there. And then we rang our other friend up, so basically our other walking partner, and said, we want to go to the Clentills. And he said, actually, so do I. Really, really want to go. So we organised it for the next night, and we were going to meet up, and we were going to travel in one car, which was my car. Now, after we made that decision, I kept getting mental images of me standing on this hill and seeing, literally, if you imagine it's about 300-400 feet high, this hill, so you have to trek up to get to the top.
Yeah, a bit like what I did today.
Yeah, but we walked. We had to park, and you have to walk because there's no road. And a 20-30 minute walk uphill. So I was standing on top in this mental image the night before, and I was seeing light and orbs coming from every direction into the center of the monoliths as a mental image. So we get there the next night, and as we get there, there's 4 of us and there's 4 stone monoliths. At the exact same time, mentally, we were all told to go and stand by each an individual monolith. 4 people, 4 monoliths. Once we'd done that, we were then told that we needed to move, all of us at the same time, from the monolith we were at to the next one, and the next one, until we returned back to the one we'd started with.
Wow.
I could see in my head, as we were doing this, there was a craft above us, and all I could see was bright lights at the bottom of the craft. So we did that. You know, we finished the night. I could see the craft above us. Couldn't see anything else, but we're taking lots and lots of photographs. When we later looked at the photographs, there was light and orbs coming from every direction to the center of the monoliths and up into the craft.
Love it.
So again, we're talking about photographic light. We're talking about craft. We're talking about opening or unopening portals, and things were coming in.
I mean, it's not very often. I mean, we all know, everyone knows. I mean, when you experience anything like that, to get photographs is extremely rare. Or most of the time, every time, for decades, I had experiences. For some unknown reason, I've had a camera, but I've never even thought to take a picture. It just doesn't happen. There was 2 years ago here. I've got a picture. I do have a picture of St. Kells. I'm not one of these people that put my shit out there. I don't really want to be famous. Thank you very much. And I shared it in the group and whatever, and was a couple of people, and I was sitting on the other sofa, and there was a communication with me and the beings, the greys, or the creamy ones actually, and whatever you want to call them. And I was saying, I'm getting fed up. I want to take a picture. Let me take a photo. I've been doing it for eons. Why can't I? Because I kept seeing people getting pictures. I was getting a bit pissed off. Do you know what I mean? I've gone through so many fucking abductions on their slabs and probed, part of it. I want a bit. I always had that attitude, yeah. And then all of a sudden, through this wall, and I still have the picture, I saw this, and I remember as a child, they would come through the wall. I remember just manifesting the eyes come first, and then the body comes in afterwards through. And I was sitting here, and I went, I'm going to do it. Let me take a picture. And I clicked, and I caught the picture, and it's a pure ET. Big black eyes. It is an ET. And I was tough with that. Since then, I've never thought of picking up a camera until today, when she was walking off. She went off the track to go into the field, to go back into the forest. Don't know why. I don't know how she got up that fucking road there. It's still annoying me. And I just in my head, take a picture. I was going, Donna, take a picture. Take lots. Click it. I was just going mental. I was like some freaky person in a graveyard. Yeah, take them, screaming. And Donna did. She took loads, and we never looked at them when we got them. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
We went here. We never looked. I saw her again. We drove here. We bought the stuff. We were getting the stuff out. Oh, I got this today, and I got table and chairs for the garden. How about that? We got all these bargains. It wasn't. You would think after what I just experienced, wouldn't you? They're not going. And then all of a sudden I went, oh yeah, let's have a look at those pictures. Boom. She's freaking out. She's seeing them before me. It was on her phone. Yeah.
It's amazing, really, how every single one of us in this modern age has a camera of some form in a phone, but people wouldn't believe you to say that any thought of using that camera, it's almost as if it's wiped from your mind.
Yeah, nothing.
Because I've again, as we now discussed before, I've stood next to ET beans.
Yeah.
And not once did I think to take a picture. And yet I'm always taking pictures of other things. It's just quite from your mind. And so, yeah, I mean, again, there was another incident where we were, again, there's the same group of people. We're going to go to a dense forestry, pitch black and night, but we all have to go for evening walks and look at the stars and everything else.
Yeah.
But my wife, leading up to this, kept saying, I need to get a proper camera phone. I just need to get a proper camera phone. And it was just this repeated thought that she needed to get a proper, decent camera phone. And she did before this walk. And we went on this walk, and for some reason, she got a camera phone in her hand for whatever reason. And as we're going in this really pitch black forestry, it was so dark. There's no roads there. There's no people there. It's just dense forestry. And it's so black, you just literally cannot see in front of you. And as we were walking, the three of us, this pure bright white light just appeared in between the trees. Yeah. It literally just appeared from nowhere. Yeah. And my wife to this day says that she did not take a picture, but that a camera phone just went off by itself and took a picture of this beautiful white light. And I still have the picture of the pure white light in the forestry, and it was so bright that you could not look into it. You just couldn't.
I mean, you hear stories about camera. I mean, I hear the stories, and that's why when I got the picture of the grey last 2 years ago, because I was saying, look, I'm really getting annoyed now. Everyone's got fucking pictures. Come on. I've been abducted for decades. And I got one, came through the wall. Well, normal, it was just like, and normally I don't even have that thought. But today, I didn't have a thought to take a picture. She stopped, or it stopped at the bottom of the path, and it came in. Take a picture. Like, you can have it now. But I did all of that frantically in the middle of this ancient graveyard with the dodecahedron monument. And then I went totally went off, driving a cigarette. Yeah, I'm going to do this next week. Yeah, what are you going to... Like, I mean, I'm me, Gloria, a lifetime ET experiencer. Everything has happened. Nothing. No thing. And then I just sit there, we're going, I got coffee at my place, cigarette, and going, oh, yeah, the pictures. Boom. Why wasn't I on her phone at the time going, oh my God, no. Nothing.
Because it's past, it's gone, the moment's gone. Yeah. And you've recorded the moment, you have evidence of the moment, you can share the moments with other people, which will expand them into the acceptance that these things are happening. And again,
I've gone out at night and just randomly took pictures everywhere thinking, oh, I might catch something. Did I? Heck, you must be joking. It doesn't happen to me, only other people. And it just pissed one off now and again. But today was the weird, and never mind. I mean, Michael, this one thing about the whole experience, I'm really excited. It's like being in heaven. It's like being in the Harry Potter School of Magic. They said it was coming. I've been told, and it's here now. But however, you've got to visualize we're at the bottom of a road, a hill. She's there. We're in the car. By the time we drive and get to the path in the graveyard, she's there walking past my back. Physical impossibility. And it's like, what the fuck just happened? How did you do that?
But we're not dealing with physical as we know it, are we?
We're not. I mean, it was like, and I was, even Donna said, you were meant to notice this prominently. I was meant to notice everything. And Donna went, she was watching you. Yeah. She's making herself known. And then it came in the watchers. I went,
I've been in restaurants and different places and cafes and people who've walked in in dress sense and appearance that are not of the time.
No,
You know,
not
and
yet. I'm with you.
there's also things that you can do as well when you see someone who you believe is that, you telepathically say, if you can hear me, move your right hand or move your left leg, and they do.
Well, because of the experience I had, like Ingo Swan, and he said, don't look him in the eye; they will fry your brain. These are the what you call the negative Nellies, the opposite of me, yeah. And the one that threw me back from wherever I shouldn't have. I know where it was, but I can't mention it. And he said, don't look him in the eye, because he had experienced him in the shop. And it was a female, again, a female. And so today I tried, I couldn't believe it. When I tried to look at the face, I knew it wasn't, I knew what it wasn't. And as I looked, she went like that. Now, she had long, not real hair, by the way, down. And then when she come towards me and past me, she put her head down. And I wasn't to look. So not in a negative way, but I don't think I would have looked, even if she had looked up. I don't think I would, because of what Ingo said. And the experience I had before was the most horrific Men in Black hybrid you've ever experienced in your life, that stopped me. I was doing remote viewing in groups. I was 98% off. We were doing missing. I was doing all. I teach it now, but I don't do it. Still don't do it to this day, unless it comes naturally. But then I'm in more control of it. I can pull back, and I'm not like in kindergarten remote viewing now. If something comes, I pick up the energy first. I go, no, I'm not doing that, because sometimes it just pops in. But no, today was it's a life changer again, and I don't know what to do with it. But I don't care. Go on.
Well, what you do with it is you enjoy the moment, and you know that with a change in timeline, with a change in experience, then there's going to be a series of experiences that will follow.
It's going to be a series. Yeah, I think you're right, Michael. You're right. It's going to be.
Prepare yourself for the joy of something different again.
It's going to be what the fuck time. Yeah. Every what the fuck. What? I mean, timeline convergences have been going on for a while. Moving timelines has been normal timeline, but to stop me, give me the craft. It was the craft. I was with them, and thought, okay, science come in. That's all I knew, and then everything stopped. And as I said, got seriously ill. And then today, I'm like, oh, okay, what do I do with it? And I thought, no, my God. And the pictures, I can't, I have looked at them twice, but I don't know why I'm not more excited. I can't explain it. And it's like, I don't really want post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm a realized being. Do you mind? No, I'm just processing. I'm trying to process without my mind coming in. And I thought it'd be good to share it with another being like you.
The thing is, it's like now when I see something or experience something, there is no emotion involved, there is no excitement involved, there is no. It's not dismissive, because I'm great, but it
normal
because it is normal, and because you realise it is normal.
It's normal.
What's the big deal?
Yeah, I'm not. You know, you're thinking, why aren't I going? I've got pictures, but no, it's just like I wasn't interested to look at the phone. I was more interested to go to the toilet actually afterwards. And the only thing that got me today is how she got from point A to B with me, and she wasn't in a car. But my friend Donna said, Gloria, did you notice she wasn't walking like a human? She floated up a fucking road. She was on the main road, by the way. Who does that? One way. You can't go two ways. Skinny little road. No human would walk on there. It's a death trap. And she glided up there like there was no movement.
But again, going from what we said earlier about spirits, ghosts, whatever you want to call them, and ETs having the same or using the same, beyond the laws of physics, they can think of a place and they can be there instantly. And I've witnessed ghosts do that, and I've witnessed ETs do that. So we are talking about phenomenon that we don't know, that we don't understand.
Well,
and we're not dealing with the law of physics as we know them.
no. I mean, these are mighty powerful beings. I mean,
Yes.
I must admit, my good friend Donna, she's like, how did she do that? I mean, how? And I go, don't ask me. I know I'm a god, but I don't know everything. I mean, but she'd come up right to my back. She made herself known, and I turned, her head went down, and I watched her, and I'm like, I wanted to scream, and I didn't. I ran over the graves, tried not to fall. Donna, and there she stood, watching behind a tree, watching. So I let her watch, and I told Donna about what this was, dodecahedron, what it was about, what it was used for, the alchemical and all.
Yeah.
And it went, so that was that mind-blowing day. So Michael, we digressed, and that's my fault most probably, because I got very excited talking with Michael there. With all this going on, and I've just added something, there is something major gone now. I knew there was an urgency, running out of time. It's all I keep hearing. Not in time as in urgency, fear, but running out of time. With all, I've shared my experience with you, and you've shared some of the experiences you've had. This now that we're in now, this timeline now, let's have a go. What do you think is happening? What's going to happen? What's going on?
My feeling of what is going on is there is a lot of concentrated effort beaming down to humanity. And I think that there will be a partial split in the realities of humanity, and I think that some will remain on one timeline, and it'll be the timeline that we're currently on, and there'll be others who are not on that timeline, who have been shifted deliberately or by force or whatever onto the correct timeline to advance things and move things forward. I think that's a
good analogy. Hold on before you go on. I like that. No, I like that. I like that. Do go on, yeah.
And I do think, the amount of times in the last 12, 13, 14 years that I've heard there's going to be a consciousness shift. And I think that is the separation of the realities. And I do think that, again, we've discussed, for me, this is already concluded.
Yeah, it's concluded for me.
And for me, and I feel like I'm looking back on coming towards the timeline, but it's already concluded. And that
the 3D timeline's concluded. We're now going on to experience new things.
We are.
Yeah. We are. I mean, we're not concluded. We're, and it's a first that the humans collectively can still experience transition without popping your clog, so to speak.
Yes.
But it's not going to be what I'm telling you, even today. It's not, and I always knew it wasn't going to be whatever we could imagine. It's not going to be that. And you've just reminded me of over the decades and even recently, something ignited last week. They've shown me in visions of the platonic solids in the sky. The craft are turning into the platonic solids, the Merkaba. I've even painted one. And that's what's coming. These are energy. These are conscious energy. It's not nuts and bolts. And I remember them saying, wait till they see this. Wait till they see not a pyramid craft. No, not like that. These are energy, organic, conscious. And I've seen them, and they keep. And I think this is going to be witnessed in maybe the magnetic field. Maybe it is to do with what the sun's going on. The sun's influencing our magnetic field and our frequency. The sun is flaring up, as we know. Maybe it's the now is what's happening, running out of time. It's because of all of the universe, how it's consciously. What do you think? Oscillating or something like that.
When you look at the crafts, the crafts are the actual bodies of the consciousness. They are driven by thought, and there is so much, as I said, there's so much concentrated effort now on this task that a lot of humanity will be taken to the right timeline, to the right place. I do again, I do think that it's already concluded, it's already been written, it's already been
done. Yeah, it's written.
But I do think that we are going to collectively and individually, we're going to experience energies and phenomenons that we've never ever experienced before. And with that, obviously comes the responsibility from that side to ensure that we're able to cope with that. But the responsibility comes from our side to actually act upon what we are seeing. And I don't think anybody has seen anything as what is to come.
No, I'm in total agreement. I mean, there's one thing to have a knowing and another thing to experience. I mean, I knew I had to share this live. I knew and I was saying to Donna, I got it was just coming in. Share it live. Talk to Michael. To put it out there. Once it's out there, it's manifesting, it's gone. And I think that is responsibility. I mean, to me, I don't feel any different. That was fucking awesome. I mean, that was like magic. I mean, still can't get over how she did that. I need to be able to do that because my hip hurts. So if I can move from point A to point B that quick, it's Newtonian law. You can't do it. You know what I mean? It was like, and I knew I had to share it. It had to come out. I mean, I gave a description into my Wednesday group because that's where we talk about it's an experiences group. And I said, got these photos, you'll see them on Wednesday. My group will see the photos first because they've worked with me for years. They've come out and shared their experiences. It's a closed group. And they'll see the photographs first. And I never released publicly the other one. It doesn't really interest me to you have to have your personal experience to become a truth. I've seen many other people's pictures and some, when I read them, they are true because I can read them. I can read the energy in the picture. But there's a majority out there that whatever they are, they're not real. Or they're government or whatever you call it. You can just read it. This is no, it's not a UFO. You don't even need to look at the picture, you just get the energy of it. So, for me, I don't know what's coming, and that's the unknown, which is exciting. But I'm really joyous that they're walking among us. They've always been there, but now friends are seeing it with me. So I'm not a solo experiencer here. I love that. I love it. It does make a difference. I know who I am. I know the role I'm playing, but I'm playing that role, so I'm going to get excited, am I not? But I'm not ecstatic like, I'm going to write a book. No, I'm not. I am a book. I chat it. And I hope everyone can experience this because, I'd heard about the Watchers way back in the day, and they always keep coming up, the Watchers. I've known about, and I was called a Watcher when I was teaching. They said, you're one of the Watchers way back in the day. And I went, you what? Yeah, you're a Watcher. And so now that's processing through me. If the Watchers are watching me, oh my God, yeah. I'll tell you something else. See, look what's coming in now. Also, before I went and had this absolutely massive experience, I was in the garden and I went, like from self-realization, you're the observer observing and then it come in, and who's observing the observer? You know who that is. So the morning even started off freakier than freakier. It was just all coming in, like everything was just shifting. Like everything I'd learned or thought I knew had been thrown out. And this stuff was coming in for this moment of now. I mean, it's like I couldn't have a better guest to chat this stuff with. I mean, it's just like.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we can't write the future with our mind, and the difference is what we know and what we feel we know or what we think we know becomes irrelevant when you be what you really are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
we are gonna we're gonna have to face at some point being who we really are.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
And
and
we
when
don't
you
know
are,
who
when you
that
do
is.
that,
I mean, we have an inkling through self-realization. We know we're the observer. We know we're conscious. But there's another level that's coming. There's another, and I'm aware of that. Yeah. There is and that's the urgency. I mean, when my friend today said, Donna, she said today, was she or it? She wasn't a female. Was she watching you like that you were doing it right? I said, but I wasn't doing anything. I was being me. And I got attracted, I was just being me, spontaneous me, who I am. And now I think about it, makes you, like if you're training to do something and you have your senior supervisor watch you do it, or when you're parenting, you're watching your child go through a process.
Yeah.
And I was being watched. But it's not in there yet. I'm waiting. What did I do? I must have done something today by being me and going where I did. It's a sacred area. I must have done something, and I haven't become aware of that yet, obviously, because they were watching me and make sure I did it to observe me.
Well, don't forget that they're also watching to learn as well, because they're
correct.
they're learning from us, and
Correct.
you know,
Correct.
so there's multiple ways, and when I've had beings observing me, and there's been guardians out of sight, but their presence is known because they're watching the watcher watching me, because they are learning from what we do, and they're learning what we think, and we're learning the learning how we do things.
Or it could have been my watcher going, please God, I'm going to materialize on this earth to make sure she gets it right this time, because she's a rebel. Yeah, she always fucks up. So 5 times she appeared. 5 times. Boom, boom, boom. Out of nowhere, guys. I'm watching her and let her know I'm watching her this time, like a guardian. I am watching you, and I'm going. And you can have a picture afterwards. Yeah.
Well, there'll be a significance in the number 5 as well, as we're talking the geometry and things.
You know what 5 is? 5 is my number, my birthday. That's my numerological number. Is 5. That just kicked in. You said that. Now I just remembered. I'm number 5. That's the numerological number for me. My energy is 5. But yes, so I mean, Michael, it has been the most joyous, expansive conversation. However, we're not finished yet. We're nearly going 2 hours, just like me and Omar. I'm going to say a word. Are you ready? Michael tells jokes. Now we're going to lighten up, our craziness at the end of the night. And you need to know that Michael Feeley is the worst joke teller ever. His jokes are so not funny, they're hilarious. All right.
Do you want to do the musical one? Think of a name.
Oh, I've got to remember. No, I forgot now.
But basically, if I'll give you a challenge.
Yeah, give me a challenge. Go on.
Say, give me any name.
Yeah.
And within 5 seconds, I would have thought of a song with that name in the song, and you can count me down, but make it a difficult name, because.
Oh, I remember. Yes, Right, I'm going to think of a name, guys. This is live. Right, I'm going to think of a really.
And within 5 seconds, I will give you a song with that name in it.
Right.
And
okay.
So I'll make it a difficult name.
Agatha. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Got it. Got one.
You got one. Go on then.
Yeah. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Agatha. Happy birthday to you. There's a song with that name. See? Every time.
You did that. I gave you Cecil last time, didn't I? Oh, he got me. He got me before. He's just the worst comedian on earth. Right, now what I want to do now, you said to me last time, if I give you a word, you can do a joke.
Or a subject, a word or a subject.
I want a joke because your jokes are just.
Okay.
You did one in the beginning. I said, "Oh yeah," to all of the open minders out there. There's over 5,000 of you. Thank you so much for following Open Minds Chat Show and sharing this out. Over 5,100 and some followers. Thank you so much indeed. You are the open minders. And what did you say when I said that?
Something about feeding the 5,000 or something like that.
Yeah, you cracked that one. Okay, I'm going to give you a word, okay?
Okay.
And I want you to do what you do. Right, the word is elephant.
Elephant.
Yeah, elephant.
Okay. Or a subject. Give me a subject.
I'll give you a subject. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a subject. Cosmology.
Cosmology. My God, you're a star, aren't you?
Oh, Michael, stop it! No,
Thank you.
That was too quick. That was too quick. No.
Actually, the doctor gave me some pills today, and since I've taken them, I keep veering to the right and then veering to the left. He said it's the side effects.
These are his jokes. They're so bad. They're fucking hilarious. He does them in Texas to me. And I'm going, that is so stupid. That's like Del Boy jokes, yeah? But they're so funny. I find my All right, give us one of your best jokes, Michael.
One of my best ones.
One of your best ones.
I don't know if it's one of the best ones, but I nearly drowned in a bowl of muesli this morning. I got dragged under by a strong current.
You know, any Americans out there, I know you don't get our sense of humor. I've actually come to, in interviews that don't get our joke. British, we get that. That was really, you can do, give me a bread joke.
Bread?
Yeah.
I had two people at my door for 2 hours today telling me the advantage of brown bread. Really don't like these Jehovah's Witnesses.
See how he does it? You see how he does it? He does my head in, guys. You open-minders out there, you beautiful, lovely beings, 5,000 of you. He does my head in all the time.
There's another one. I went to a fancy dress party as a piece of bread. The birds were all over me.
You see, he's not going to stop now. I'm going to stop you. I'm going to stop you because I will start giggling and then I'm going to need the loo. We've nearly gone to, we've got to go 10 minutes because we can't. I did 2 hours with Omar. I'm going to do 2 hours with you. These are the discussions I love myself and I'm being attracted towards people who want these conversations as well. They're organic. We're exploring. We're sharing. There's no right or wrong way. And as I said, I don't know jack shit. I'm still experiencing the same as you. We're all on an individual journey. Take from this show tonight Michael's jokes, yeah, if you want. And if you're American, you won't like them, but you won't even get them. Anything resonates with you, please, we give it freely. It's all free. And if it doesn't, just put it to one side. But if you want to, investigate a bit more, go out there, alternative media, podcasts. There's so many people out there sharing their truths, and it may resonate with you there. Michael, if you could, leave us with an inspiring, quote or momentum or uplifting word of encouragement, what would it be? Or 4 or 5 or 6 of them?
I guess I like to stress and point out to people their magnificence, really. And when we look at all these things that Gloria's experienced and I've experienced, this is normality. This is normal, and we have the same abilities to do what we've witnessed.
Yeah.
But somewhere along the line, we were told that we don't.
Yeah.
And we believe them.
Yeah.
So hold on to your hats, because, as I said, there's going to be
a bumpy ride.
There's going to be experiences. There's going to be phenomena. There's going to be information, and there's going to be connections and contact, not as in the government contact, but there's
No.
going to be more and more contact
Mm.
that is going to be greater, more advanced, more marvelous, and more thrilling than anything that's ever been witnessed so far.
Yeah, I mean,
it's going to be good.
I mean, to me, even today, when I went to the boot sale, I mean, I'm not joking. And they got the Portaloos, and we needed to go. Luca's out in the country. Thank God they got Portaloo. Oh, you got hand sanitizer, you're fine. And I remember, we lock each other in, stand at the door, because there's weird people at boot sales, I love, and the door locks don't work. And I was leaning on the door for my friend Donna, and she said, it's a bit of a squeeze in here. I said, well, just imagine it's the TARDIS, yeah? And it just come in my head. Now, I knew what was happening in my head, yeah? Because if you go in Doctor Who's imaginary fictional TARDIS, it's small on the outside. You just brought that back to me by making that statement, but on the inside, it's expansive. And it's very much like what you call the spacecrafts that I went on, in the experiences. They look visually small, but you're inside. It's like, so I think maybe all the sci-fi is going to just to materialize itself. What do you think? The experience.
Well, the sci-fi is telling us what's reality, and we think it's sci-fi because it's on the TV, but it's not sci-fi. When you look about Beam Me Up, Scotty, and things like that. Well, they were doing that in the pyramids. These things, these things are happening. Everything you see on telly, everything you see as a so-called science fiction is not science fiction.
Or bilocating. The female today must have bilocated from the bottom of that road to the churchyard in the same time I got there driving. That's I now know. I mean, I know.
Well, that would have been slow for them, wouldn't it? Really, but again, we're not talking about the same limitations of physics. But I mean, what I would say is, when we've done at the mobile toilet and you turn around to look at it, you find me facing your portal.
Yeah. Oh, Michael, you're not allowed to do that. You're not. We're not. Stop jokes, because I'll start giggling and need the loo. There's something I forgot. I was going to mention it, and about when that volcano erupted, where it was in Europe.
It was Iceland. I think it was Iceland, and I think it must have been about 2012, 2013, something like that.
Yeah, somewhere around there, when I was having my Mahusiv sacred geometry and all the. Now this, I haven't shared this publicly ever. I don't think. I've shared it in my private groups. I don't think I have. Or I may have touched upon it slightly. No, I haven't. Anyway, I'm going to share it because it keeps coming in my memory. It keeps flashing back. And I'm revealing all tonight. It's like, are you a Catholic priest or what, Michael? Because I'm confessing to you all my experiences. Here's another one I've never, don't you crack a joke. When that happened, and all airplanes were stopped. Well, I had a precognition first, before it happened, that one of my children was going to America and would be trapped. So I phoned her up. This is the first part of it. And I said, this is going to happen. In a vision, they showed me the volcano, air traffic, and she would be trapped. She said, well, yeah, Mum, I booked to go on this date. I said, don't go. Well, luckily, not all of them, but some of my children listen. If I say don't do something, you don't want to do it. Because they don't come too often, but when they come like that. And so obviously it saved her, not going up in an aeroplane. But then when it occurred, I was shown in another vision, so vivid. It's 2022 now, and it was 2012 when this happened. I was walking through the local area, and there's like a bus station, a pathway you have to walk through, okay, to get to the town. And all the sky was covered with volcanic ash. And I had a knowing, not told, a knowing, that was set off on purpose in the vision. And all airplanes had to be stopped. I don't know if anyone else got this, but I got this. And I said, the beings were always one on each side, yeah? And I said, why? And they said, look, above the the ash or whatever it was, there was craft being attacked by us in space. There's an event they knew was coming, and so the volcano was set off. It wasn't the Big Bang, it was the lava thing, whatever come on, but set that off to shut down the airspace because there was space, what you can call it a space war. And I witnessed it. And I've kept that since till now. And the reason it's coming out now, it was early hours this morning. I was watching something and it got on two different things. It kept coming up, the space war. And they were talking about the false invasion to come. Yeah. And I was shown that. That's actually what happened. That's why the airspace was shut down, because what they were doing. Now, I've become aware recently of other experiences, you know, the helicopter, everything, and that's why they've changed the way they come in, because they can detect. I don't know if it's the 5G towers. I don't know what it is that picks it up, but they know what we know. So that when the frequency in the magnetic field, when it shifts in this matrix, they know they're coming through. So they come in another way. And when they come in, like I got today, even though there was a helicopter circling, you can't touch them. They're too advanced. I mean, it's ridiculous even to think. It's like kindergarten playing with SAS, if you know what I mean. Just thought I'd share that, Michael. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's definitely Star Wars, and you know, a lot of all this activity in Earth skies with satellites and different things, and even presidents of the 80s were talking about Star Wars. Reagan was talking about it, and they have things up there, and you can see, certainly on YouTube, missiles being fired and things avoiding them and moving. And these are genuine videos. Yes, there are Star Wars. There's Star Wars between Earth and ETs. There's Star Wars between ETs and and at the moment there's a concerted effort with various star races to try and shift those who are crippling humanity's evolution.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say, guys, from my truth, and it's my truth, don't believe it, it's a total failure. What I witnessed today, because I was thinking, well, how are you going to get through? I keep asking you to come. How are you going to get through if they're detecting you in the eons, whatever you call it out there, and then, you know, they pick it up. They pick it up. And that's why they're being blasted. And they know when they're coming in. And that's why you see the Chinook helicopters. You see them all in the sky when someone witnesses a UFO. Because they know before, it's just like the frequency is being shifted. It's all done on harmonics. It's all math. And they know something's coming into the dimension. They know this. And I'm going, how are you going to do that? There's a way in. There's going to be, that's why they've been popping in and popping out. And that's why it's consciousness on the craft, not beings on the craft. It's conscious, it's alive itself. Yeah. And from that craft, the being can metamorphose into a human, and it's that advanced, you know. And I saw that today. I thought, oh, that's how you're going to do it. But there was. But
I've seen them come through portals into our reality, and when I finished the night shift and I'd basically been part of a landing. There was a landing, and I know there was a landing by the feeling, by the things that were happening, by lights going out, by people saying the shadows in their gardens. There was a landing, and when I came back and started to have an email discussion with a friend of mine who ran a local UFO group, in front of my eyes, my emails were removed and then put back.
Yeah.
From that point on, when I was using the phone, certain words I began to hear a recording.
Yeah.
There was literally outside my old house, there was the electric cable box for the network. And we had an engineer come out, and he found an anomaly that had been put in the box outside the house.
Yeah.
there was an instant where my cell phone was downstairs,
Mm-hmm.
and I was upstairs in bed,
Mm-hmm.
and it rang, and my dad says, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "It's 7:30 in the morning. You've just called me." I said, "I haven't. My phone was downstairs, and I'm upstairs asleep."
Yeah, no. I mean,
You know.
they in 20. It was around about the 2012 when all of this shit was really kicking off for me with the remote viewing where I shouldn't have gone. I remember, I have shared this before, I think. I was on my computer. I was having, it was one of those times, there were more, you could use the word abductions for people that just simplify. They were constant. Must have been, it felt like every fucking night. And I was madly painting like a freaky person, sacred geometry, 3-dimensional. And I actually caught the craft outside the house. I had a push, go out the back door, look up, and there was a cloud. And I looked up, I don't know why I did it. And I looked up, the cloud disappeared. There was a craft, then the cloud masked it again. At this time, I was on my computer, and an old friend of mine way back in the day, he worked for Microsoft, the virus, he created the protection. And when all this was happening, he went in my computer for me, and he set it all up that no motherfucker could get in back in the day, yeah? And I was on my computer, and this thing he put in, alert, someone is sharing, looking into your IP. Yeah? So I picked up the phone, I phoned up it was someone in India. It was a blessing. Normally it's not, but this time it was a blessing. English comprehension, I wouldn't have found out what I did. And I phoned her up and I said, I've got a warning on my computer. Someone is in my IP address. They're in my computer now. And she said, hold on, madam, And she come back, she logged in. She said, oh my God, yes, there is. There's a satellite. Listen to this. There's a satellite above you, and it's linked into your computer. That's where I went, I want to speak to your supervisor now. Next thing, an English-speaking person comes on, and no, she got that wrong. No, and yeah. And I remember that, and I'm old. That was the 2012 time, and that's when and I had Chinooks, frigging helicopters constantly over my house. Then black things that fly so fast you don't see them, were over my house. It was a constant all the time. And I'd have them come along, and lights would be everywhere because the abductions were at the back of the house on the field. Most of them were out through the wall out the back because there was a field. It was country. So I remember all of that. I even remember back in the day, Michael, when we had house phones, dial-up network.
Yes.
We had to get off the phone. I want to go on the internet. Do you remember that?
I do, very well.
And I remember picking up my phone, and you'd hear click, 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 click. You'd hear they were listening.
Yeah.
You know what I would do, guys? I'd say I started my period today. I've got humongous blood clots coming out, and they'd click off. You'd hear. I would do that. I would do that. So you can see, even, obviously, as these beings advance, the darker side of us humans, our polarity, which we have to have. We have to have this. It's not evil. They've advanced too. And they've got technology now, frequency technology, that they can pick up when ET is popping into our dimension. A bit like the split, the quantum physics, the double split, they can pick that up when it's in.
Yeah.
However, these beings are so advanced. When I said, how are you going to do it? They did it today. And you can't detect they knew something was going on today. That's why the helicopter, they knew.
Yeah, they can pick it up. They can also fly over an area or a country or a region, and they have the technology that this is our side to measure the consciousness level of the people of that area.
Yeah.
And
we know they can
flying over.
We know in the police, because it's the area I worked in and yourself, and we know they go with their infrared, whatever, and they go over the houses and they can tell if you've got excessive heat and you're growing marijuana in the loft.
Yeah.
Michael, stay there a second. When I was with Omar last week, we stopped to show because we both needed the loo. We agreed after the show, because we're 2 hours in, let's just say I'm taking a toilet break, hold this space. And I'm going to say, Michael, hold this space, talk about what we're talking about, and I will be back. I need the loo, 2 hours in.
Okay, let me put my light on, because it's going to look a little bit dark, and that's better. So, I'm holding the space. I won't tell any more jokes, but I'll just continue just basically by saying that there is no separation, there is no difference between what you would deem UFOs, extraterrestrials, angels, elementals, ghosts, earthbound spirits, poltergeist. It is all consciousness in a different form. And what you find is there's many different groups. You know, if you imagine that the world is a hotel, and this hotel has many, many rooms. And in each of the room, there is a different truth movement. On the one, you got the New Age, then you got religions, then you've got ufology, then you've got paranormal and supernatural and ghosts. But what they're doing is they're not realizing that there's many other rooms, and they're disconnecting from each other and believing that all of these different subjects are separate subjects. They are not separate subjects. They are all talking about the same thing in different ways. When I speak to the UFO communities, I'm telling them about the consciousness of the things that they're seeing, and yet they're just interested in tin cans in the sky. You know, when I speak to New Age, they tell me not to concentrate on the dark, just the light. But you have to have the balance of two complementary halves in order to advance. So nothing is separate. Nothing has ever been separate. It is only the illusion and our perception that these subjects are different subjects, when really they're all the same thing. And that is an important thing for humanity and the truth movements and everyone else to get their head around and to understand. And when they do understand that, then they just open the door to their individual rooms and they get connected to the rest of the hotel.
I love that. I heard that all the way. I took Americans call it a potty break. I'm learning American. They call it the potty break.
In the restroom.
Yeah. They say, I'm going to take a potty break. And I say, we put our babies on potties. What do you mean? You get on a potty. But listen, with the linguistic, that's why they're never going to get your jokes. Never. Even I can't get your jokes. They're so silly. But no, I heard that. I mean, it's a real good analogy to explain what's going on. I mean, I listen to other people's. I love to hear another being's experiences of their hero's journey. It is a hero's journey. We've come in, to experience, and how they've overcome obstacles, and normally it's fucking disasters that wake you up. And I love hearing, but I always say we're all on the same journey. We're all having, because we're one, the same experience. However, we're all going to experience it slightly differently. And otherwise it'd be really boring, wouldn't it? We wouldn't interview anybody, would we? Tell me about your experience. Oh, same as mine, you're boring. It wouldn't happen. So, and this is the beauty and the richness of the experiences. I mean, what you just said is correct. We decompartmentalize, is a big word again, and put everything in the boxes. But if you open your mind, you open-minders, you 5,000 of you, you connect with all of it. And really, something was brought back to me recently. I've always, all my life, I've always called on a God. I just use the word God. And through the process of self-realization, I used to believe in a God, as in religious. And then when I went through my self-realization process, I had to let that go. It was the hardest thing for me to do. I had to let go of that love, of this idea I had about God separate from me. It was real trauma at the time, I have, but I still say God, source, God. And I still offer up prayers or affirmations to the source. I am the source. I know that. But, for the greater good, Sound like Hot Fuzz Village. It's for the greater good. For the greater good of the whole experience. And recently, every time I've done it, it's spontaneously answered. Normally, when I was in a timeline, so to speak, it took time. But because we talked about the deconstruction of time-space continuum, and you put it out there, and there's joy comes in immediately, and then you witness it physically, that's you as a creator being creating your reality. Does that make sense to you, Michael?
It does. What we have on the outside, which we call reality, which when you understand again, five sense consciousness and how the universal waves get taken by the five senses, which gives that information to the brain, which then basically from memory largely creates what we believe to be a familiar world, which is not a familiar world. So we don't really know what the world is, but everything in my view is a construct of the mind.
Yeah.
And you can put it in simple terms, as in this is the projector, this is the projection.
Yeah.
And depending upon what level you are at individually, depends upon what images you see on that projection.
Yeah.
And taking that into the dream state, which is really the picture making forces of the soul, depending upon your level at the moment, depends upon sometimes which of these images, which of these dreams do become reality. Because really it is an unconscious aspect of ourselves wanting to be heard.
Yeah.
And we need to make the unconscious conscious in order to bring our being forward. So you can't really define what reality is, because it is an individual thing. It's an individual,
personal.
It is a personal thing, and it is a construct of the mind. And if you imagine that the original universe created came from a thought, and that thought became a creation. So we are part of that original thought that created what we are now experiencing.
Yeah. I mean, I always say, and sometimes I think, am I being too blasé? And in the groups, where I teach, I say, if you knew who you were, if you could even hear the tones of your frequency, they'd make you cry. Your frequency in your being, you're not who the idea you have about yourself is a lie. It's not, it's conditioned programming. But if you knew who you were, if you could hear it, and people think, well, you're going to hear a tone. No, I don't mean it that way. It's an analogy. It's like you just said, whatever level each being, we're all the same being having a different experience. But it's like, today I heard a different frequency of me. My whole reality went into Doctor Who film today. I was in a Doctor Who. No, you know what it reminded me of today? Really, it reminded me of that TV series Fringe, where the Watchers come in, the baldy men like you, but they wore trilby hats, and they didn't tell bad jokes either. It reminded me. I felt like everything changed, and this sense I had was very similar to when I had the contact experiences of abduction, because the atmosphere is different. Even the atmosphere is different. I can't explain it. And that's what it felt like today. So these are the type of experiences that are when you really get to know who you truly are through self-realization. Just remember who you are, the more the being comes and the identity subsides. That's what it means. Because then magic happens. Doctor Who does happen. It happened today, I'm telling you.
It is largely frequency, and everything develops. Again, when you look at creation, everything develops depending upon the gamut, which is really the musical tone.
Yeah.
And when you look at stars, which are our suns for their own system, you have the great octave stars, which are suns, which correspond to Sol in the Solfeggio scale. But things develop depending upon sound, depending upon musical tones, depending upon frequencies, and we advance, and it's everyone's natural instinct to advance. and to better yourself and to become a better being, to know more, to want to know more, to do more.
To play with your creation. I mean, I do use another analogy to understand what I've just spoke about. Is, do you remember? Oh, it's been going on for years now. You know when they put rice on a machine and they put in a frequency and it turns into a shape, matter, form.
Plates, yeah.
Yeah. That in itself is a pointer, a hint for you what you can do. The table, the wall, and that, they're all vibrating. Everything is vibrating at a certain hertz frequency to give a visual, holographic, but even though it feels real, solid material thing. Okay? Then imagine as the being arises, and everyone's told you, create your reality, thoughts, create reality, I mean, it gets boring after a while, isn't it? Why don't you just do a deep dive, go in and be that? Yeah? Forget all the teachings. Is when you go from that place, not only does things materialize or something like that, or you get a new lover. Thank God I didn't have a partner, because he would have been kicked to the curb with the timeline change, because everything got dropped. I mean, everything got dropped. You manifest, but you don't have a thought process. I manifest. No, it spontaneously happens, and your whole timeline changes. The atmosphere changes, and it's a spontaneous flow of creation. That is the natural source being, or God, whatever you want to call it. How does that resonate with you?
It does, and when you were talking about sounds creating shapes, which is exactly what a crop circle is, just as simple as it is. Within the crop circles, there is messages, there are words, there are sentences, and what the senders of these sounds that are creating the crop circles are doing is, by a process known as additive synthesis, they are putting waveforms together, sound waves together, but they're encrypted in between the sound waves, so they are carried on the sound waves, a language,
and materializing it in another
material. Snowflakes, anything like that is the sound of the environment, as is crop circles. Now, a lot of these crop circles are being formed by sounds that are coming from the rings of Saturn. And when you listen to the sounds of the rings of Saturn and you listen to the sounds of crop circles, they are a pitch perfect match.
There you go. And if you didn't know that, you know now.
And it takes literally an hour and 29 minutes for these sound waves to get from Saturn to Wiltshire in the UK. So
I've got another confession. You've just said it. It's coming in. You are my priest tonight. When you said the word there, it kicked back in. I've got to share something else with you. You said snow. Let me tell you what happened. 2 weeks ago, 22, 23 degrees outside. And I'd had experiences. This is God's truth. And I had 2 other people in the garden. I won't name them. Data protection. I've got no permission. And anyway, it was going on. And I was talking my stuff, as you do. And I was and next thing you know, a friend of mine, one of 2, said, "Is it snowing in the garden?" This is God's truth. And I went, "What?" And the finest, nothing in the sky, blue, no clouds, 22, 23, 24, actually, I think it hit that day. And it over my garden. And I turned around and I went, "What's that?" And my friend said, "Well, it could be the crematorium." And I went, "What?" "The crematorium miles away, and dead body ashes falling just in my garden." And he said, "It's snow." And the other one went, "That's snow. The finest snow." Now, hold on. Throw that out there. Left it at that. Eventually, either the crematorium ashes or the snow, it was like snow, the finest snow, just in my garden, blazing hot. Well, your mind can't take that because it doesn't compute. Okay? Then I just forgot about it. Totally. As you do, like, don't take a picture. Gone. couple of days later, you've just reminded me, with the key word was snow. A couple of days later, I was watching something and I heard someone else say who experienced exactly what I experienced when there was a craft above. Because of the frequency, well, they're changing now, and they're up in it. It's not just, you know, those that control the cloud seeding for us, give us rain and all that. And then I heard someone, I went, and it took me back to the day in my garden. This is what's happening in my reality. Yeah. And then I went, oh my God, someone else has experienced that. This snow in boiling hot day in a clear sky. And then what did I do? Don't matter, none. I forgot about it until you just mentioned snow. And there I go again. As if it was of no concern. It was like a feather duster of talcum powder snow, if you know what I mean.
It's like, and this is one for your American viewers, really. Talking of snow, I'm sure Will Smith, last time there was snow here, I'm sure Will Smith was in my garden. I know that because I could see the Fresh Prince.
Do you know what? Your jokes are just so bad. They are so bad, Michael.
But they're topical.
You know, I said to you, I don't know, the other week, I said, there was one comedian, yeah, his jokes were just the most awful in the world, in the UK. But I loved him. His name was Tommy Cooper, because he was just like that. And his jokes rather were just awful. But they were so bad I couldn't stop giggling. And you remind me of Tommy Cooper. You really, really do. It's like your jokes are just awful, but they're so funny at the same time.
Well, I was going to talk about potatoes today, but I was told by my attorney I shouldn't. Apparently, it's something to do with the Data Protection Act.
See, I start laughing before he gives, you know, the line, because I know it's going to be so stupid. And
talking of Doctor Who, I had a Doctor Who pizza earlier. Yeah. It was really nice.
Say that again, Michael.
I had a Doctor Who pizza earlier. So it was really nice with some garlic bread.
You see what I'm saying, guys? I mean, we've gone nearly 2 hours and a half. We've beaten the Omar conversation. Michael, I thank you very, very much indeed. Before we close our conversation tonight, and it's been thank you for being my priest as well. So I'm outing myself tonight. Sell yourself shamelessly, haul yourself out there. Where can people get hold of you?
Probably the best place is the website, which is michael-feeley.com, because from there you can go to social media, to YouTube, to free blogs, to newsletters, to Skype calls, to do all of these things. So the central place, even though if you just type my name into the search engines, that something will come up, but the best place is to start with the website. There's lots to read on there, lots to do on there, and it takes you into different pathways to what I'm doing and where I am. So that's probably the most shameless I'm going to get. Yeah,
that's fine. If anyone awards Oscars or BAFTAs to comedians, please create one for the worst British comedian ever, Michael Feeley. I mean, don't even consider doing a joke book, because knowing you, you'll fucking sell millions.
Ironically, I did actually write a joke book, but I ate it. It tasted a bit funny.
Michael, you see that's so stupid. You need to stop it. Right, guys, now I'm going to be the serious host. Once again, massive shout out to the over 5,000 open minders, for supporting me, for liking, for sharing. I mean, thank you, because my guests come on, they share their personal experiences, their information, their knowledge, anything, and they share it freely. And for you sharing out and to follow. So to all of you, your open minders, God bless. Thank you very much. It's a privilege, and it just keeps me going. And on that note, what day is it today? But it's Sunday, right? I don't know what day I'm at the moment. I mean, my life's gone a bit weird, as you can tell. I'm back next weekend. I can't remember my guest, but I know I'm back next weekend. I know that. That's all I know. With Open Minds on Sunday at 7 p.m. I'm Gloria. This is Open Minds Chat Show. Thank you. Thank you, Michael, for 2.5 hours of absolute fun and bad jokes. And thank you, Open Minders, for watching and supporting. You are absolutely amazing. Bye for now. To the next time.